Hey guys, Shinobazu here. I wanted to share with you guys my thoughts on Microsoft's new game, my, I guess you say, first impressions of Gears Tactics. So, the first thing you're probably wondering is, what is Gears Tactics? Well, I mean, to put it super simply, Gears Tactics or Gears of War Tactics, I'm not too sure exactly what the title this but is basically XCOM meets Gears of War. If you've ever played any of Firax's XCOM series, The Enemy Within or Enemy Unknown, or maybe if you've played, I think it was like Mario and Rabbids or Phoenix Point or some other similar games to it. But basically, it's a tactical like combat game. Usually it's there's shooters, but there's also like melees and stuff like that, and it just kind of progresses on from there. So it's another game I think it's kind of very similar to would be like Final Fantasy Tactics, if you've ever played that, or anything like that. Just basically based in the Gears of War universe. It's got similar gameplay to any of the Firaxis XCOM games. They've got very unique classes, which is similar to a lot of those games where you can, between like, I guess you could say like medics, scouts, heavy gunners, things like that. So different types of classes you can mess around with and then customize into like subclasses among them. They've got all the expected game modes from like beginner, basically beginner, intermediate, try hard modes, Iron Man modes, and basically all the stuff that comes with those types of games. But the main thing here is it has a very Gears of War aesthetic. The next question would be obviously is what makes this different? And from what I can tell, the biggest difference between Gears Tactics and say like XCOM or some of the other games is they seem to have a very heavy focus on story with this one. They seem to be putting a lot into their characters. There's a lot of unique characters in the game, and that are basically like have to stay alive throughout the game. And I'm assuming if you play Iron Man modes and these characters die, it's just a full game over of the story. But there seems to be a very heavy focus on the characters, and they've done an amazing job with the cinematics to go along with it. So even though you're playing a very, like I said, tactical based, I guess you could say, game, there's a lot of focus on the cinematics and the story of this game, which, in my opinion, is what other games in this genre have lacked, and I think really could take this type of game to the next level. But we'll see. The next question would be, is it fun? For me personally, yes, I fucking love it. I love XCOM games. I love Gears of War. So hell yeah, this game is a blast for me. The game runs great. It looks beautiful. They've even got like a stress test mode. I won't lie, it does take a lot. While I'm running or recording, I won't lie, I think I only get about like 30 to 40 frames, but if I'm not recording on my old PC and just playing the game, it runs at 1080p, 60 frames a second. Above that, looks great. They've got performance modes, they've got all sorts of like things to optimize it to make sure it plays the best it possibly can. And considering XCOM ran like trash, or at least XCOM 2 ran like trash when I picked it up, and they had to have multiple mods in order to fix that, I think having a game in that style run so well and look so good out the gate, for me, which is kind of like a breath of fresh air. But I've also just been playing a lot of games on Steam where making something run well hasn't been people's priorities for a long time. The other big thing here is that it also just has that Gears of War grit, which is again kind of what I came for. Like I said, I love these types of games. I love the Gears of War lore, world, and aesthetic, and so getting that Gears grit in this type of game, I think is just kind of, I don't know if it's the icing on the cake or the type of thing that's gonna make this game really stick to where I do multiple playthroughs. We'll see, but that's where I'm at with her for right now. So it's fun. We know what it is. We know what makes it different. The question now is, do I like it? And yeah, personally I do. I've had a great time playing with it. I've spent about 2 hours playing in it, which in reality amounts to about an hour of gameplay, 30 minutes of cinematics, and an hour or half an hour messing around in the menus and customizations and things like that, which I don't personally hate. The cinematics are well done, and like I said, I've enjoyed them so far, and I kind of want to, I wouldn't say I like the story, but I would like to see where the story is going. The gameplay's been really solid, nothing extra, at least not yet, but has been solid enough to want me to keep playing, and the customization seems interesting enough to where I want to learn it, but it seems simple enough for me to be able to understand it and get into it, not like super daunting. So I think this would be an easy access point for someone who's never played these games before. The customization seems pretty straightforward. And again, although the story doesn't seem something too crazy like outside of the Gears of War wheelhouse, I'm still interested to see where it goes. And more importantly, it just kind of reminded me, the story reminds me of what it was like when I was playing Gears of War 1, just different game mechanics. I don't really know how to explain that more, obviously, because they're very different games, but realistically, just the way the missions play out, it still gives me some of that old Gears of War fear and horror that you got from early Gears of War. That kind of went away after, you know, Gears 2 and Gears 3, but if anyone remembers going into Gears of War 1 for the very first time, there were just moments and things that happened that even though you were this huge dude with this giant chainsaw gun, there were still moments that still gave you genuine fear or uncertainty when walking in the corner. And Gears is a very unique property in the way it's able to do that, and this reminds me very much of that, so I'm enjoying it. And the last question with any of these first impressions, and will probably be the most important, is am I going to keep playing it? Personally, this one, yeah. Whether I end up finishing it offline or maybe playing a little bit on stream, I do plan on finishing this. I would expect a full review of this at some point down the line, but just in general, I like Xcom games. I don't get to play them too often, and I'm a huge fan of Gears lore, so having the opportunity to combine the two and play a game out with a good story, I'm super excited for it. So I will be finishing it, and again, expect a full review for this one a little bit down the line. Would I recommend it to anyone? Normally I would save something like that for the review, because again, I haven't played much more than 2 hours into it. To my understanding, I think I want to say I've heard either 20 hours or 60 hours. We'll see how long it ends up actually being. But if you were like me, you liked XCOM and you wanted a real story, or if you happen to be in that small group of people who like XCOM and Gears of War, I'd highly recommend you at least give it a shot. It's also like on Xbox Game Pass or free with Xbox Game Pass, so there's a bunch of cheap ways to pick it up. You can grab it on Xbox, Windows, or Steam, so you can play it on Xbox or PC. So I mean, if any of this has sounded interesting to you so far, or if any of what you've seen looks like interesting to you so far, I've only really shown footage from the first mission or so to not do any major spoilers, but if any of it like stood out to you and made you think, yeah, I might be interested in this, I'd recommend giving it a shot. Like I said, there's a lot of ways you can play it without even having to pay much, and if any of it seems like it's in your wheelhouse, I'd highly recommend giving it a chance. But either way, that's gonna do it for me today. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the video. I'll let you guys know when I have the game finished and give you my full review. But until then, my name is Shinobazu. I'm your gaming and I'm ninja, and I'll catch you guys next time, alright? Deuces.
Hopefully a med kit, so I can heal myself.
Alright, she's here too. I'm still tier 1. I could try to go for the Kobe, but it'd be risky.
Son of a bitch, you fucking dick, Hanzo.
You only live once! Yes! Kobe, boys! Don't even trip. Don't even trip.
3,000.
Got you, boys.
Nice job, dude.
Oh, shit, no. Oh, what's up, boys? How you guys doing?